This is a Solemn Update for March the 15th, 2016. Last Friday, I worked on some software and I actually found some pretty good issues. It turns out that when I ran in soft AP mode, that's the reason why I wasn't able to make really good reliable connections back to the board. Once I disabled that, then I could upload firmware without having any problems. I also charged up this big LiPo battery, 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Got it up to 4.2 volts, which is where the LiPo charger is set to, and it does actually stop drawing current out of the solar panel. The next couple of days, we're going to have really good weather here in Colorado, so I'm going to go ahead and put a solar panel on it and stick it out in the sun and actually see that it works. I spent the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, getting ready to build board number 2. When I hand place these boards, it takes about 6 hours to do, and it's tedious work, and I don't like doing it. So I went and I was so close to having it in my pick and place machine. I went ahead and got a lot more done on that. The first thing I did was I needed a fixture to actually hold the solder paste, syringe, the pick and place vacuum pin, and a little USB microscope camera. So I drew this up in FreeCAD. We'll go ahead and show you that here. So this is the little device I made, and it actually is going to attach to a piece of extruded aluminum on my CNC machine. So this is where the syringe goes. This is the pick and place pen, and down here is the USB camera. And the USB camera is on a little tilt so that they kind of meet down at the tip, so that the focal point is right at the end of the pick and place pen. So we'll go back over and I'll show you the first one I built. Well, actually I have two prototypes here. This is the first one I built. Let me shade this a little bit from the light. It's kind of bright. These are white pieces. This is the first one I built, and then I realized, well, I forgot about the camera, so I had to throw that one away. And then the second one, here's the second one I built. If I can get this light turned off. Well, anyway, you get the point. You get the picture of it. So these screws here screw in, and they have a nut that's embedded into the plastic, and that's what the threads lock into. And so these kind of rotate into the shaft to kind of hold the individual piece that we're attaching in there. Then I just attach this to the Z-axis, so it moves in all the axis directions. I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like over here. So here's my MyPOSDYCNC CNC machine, and you can see that I have my 3 things in here. So this is the pin for the vacuum pick and place. It's like a hand vacuum thing. Here's my USB camera, microscope camera, and then back over here is my solder paste syringe right here. And then I just attach it to the Z-axis on my machine. Got my circuit board down here. I have the lights turned off. I'll turn them back on again. Then we'll go ahead and show you this thing actually working. Turn my lights back on over here, so you can see what's going on. All right, so then over on this screen, in this window here on the right is the USB camera. So this tip right here is the tip of the hand soldering tool. Then I ended up writing a program over here that will actually put in resistor values, or actually You can put in which kind of resistor values you want. And then typically what you'll want to do is, remember those trays, those little trays that I showed you last week? You slide the tape. The components come on a piece of tape. You'll see that here in a minute. Slide them in, and when you run the software, what you end up doing is you set 2 reference points. You set the board 0, and then you set the part 0, which is like the first part on the tape. And then from there, what it does is it keeps a counter going, and it knows how far apart the spaces are on the tape, the parts are, and it'll pick a part up and run it over. That vacuum pan, I do have a solenoid valve, and I have a vacuum pump, and I'm going to wire that into the relay output. So let's go ahead and show you this thing running. If I can, this is it's where it's going to get dangerous. I did have a couple of crashes, but it's, no harm done. There's enough play in the whole system that I don't really destroy anything. I do have a very large tip on this solder pin because I didn't want to bend anything. So this one's actually fairly big compared to what I'm going to be using. But let's go over and take a look at what's going on. So I can manually jog this thing around. I'm off the board in Z about, I don't know, a couple inches. So I'll go ahead and run it down. And of course it's not working. Oh, great. Yeah, I've been kind of plagued with some problems here lately in the old lab. This camera's not the most reliable thing going on here. Alright, got the camera going again. I hope that this one's going. Yeah, that one's still running over there. And this is dead. Oh boy. Alright, we're back up and running again. So in this screen here, let's just start over again. So I run my program. It goes out and finds the resistor values of 10K, tells me where they're located, how many there are, and the parts are oriented with a rotation on them. I could only do 0 and 0, 90, 180, and 270s. Eventually I'll work in a axis to actually rotate the parts, but for now I just pick the parts out that I want in the right orientation to put on the board. So this software goes and figures out which one goes where and where it needs to pick it out from. So let's jog back down there. So you can see in the window things are going to get a little clearer. That's because the things are coming into focus. Now here's the hard part. You can't really, it's pretty hard to tell when you're going to hit the board. That's okay. I'm pretty close right now because you can kind of see the shadows. So this through-hole part is a 0 point on my board. So what I go do, and I set the origin there, and then what I'm going to do is I go find the part 0 basically. So here's a piece of that tape. This is an 0603 resistor. And what I'm going to do is go over here and tell the software that this is part 0 in my tape. So I do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run one of the parts. And so I can run them sequentially step through the list of parts that are in this. This is actually in vertical orientation. So if I hit a key over here, and it's going to go grab that out and put it on for me. And okay, so you can see on the board here, it didn't actually pick it up because I don't have the vacuum stuff in there, but you can kind of see what's going on. So the software over here on the left-hand side tells me it's going to go put R14 down at 77.85 and 76 at 0.28. So it runs over there, and you'll actually see that it's traversing across the board. And we are about 10 centimeters, no, about 1 centimeter off the board right now. So that's R14. It just did that one. You can kind of see right underneath the tip there, it says R14 and kind of out of focus. But if I hit another key, if I hit the N key again, it's going to go place the next one. Now this one, when it goes over, it's going to pick out of the tape from a different position. The next one, basically the next hole over. Now my pick and place machine has got really horrible anti-backlash screws on it. They're really tight. I can't run this thing much faster than this. And if I were to actually make one of these machines, which I will be making, you really want this stage right here to be able to really fly. I mean, you want it to just zip across the board. This is probably almost as fast as I can hand place it. But once you get it set up and you get it kind of zeroed, it will put in all the parts. I'm manually stepping through, but I can put it in the motor. It'll put down all the parts of this particular value. There's did R7, and then the last one it's going to do is R8. So it's going to go over and grab the last one out. And I'm just going to put it down. So I learned some stuff a lot about my 3D printer. I bought a 3D printer. It came in last week. I'm actually pretty dangerous with this thing now with FreeCAD and the printer. Here it's grabbing the last resistor out. You can kind of see we're hitting somewhat near the center of the square. That's good. And you can kind of see the board wiggling and stuff. That's because the lead screw is a piece of all thread on those Y-axis, and that's why jumping like this. I did say this is MyPOSDYCNC. All right, there's R8. So, that's pretty good for some all thread. Okay, so what are we going to do? Tomorrow I'm going to, I'm either going to use what I have, or I'm just going to place all parts down by myself. Put this together and get board number 2 running. I'll also try to put this guy number 1 out in the sun with the solar panel and see what we'll get out of that. I do have the sleep mechanism running on the ESP8266. So the code that's in there now actually runs and goes to sleep for about 2 minutes, and then it wakes up again and stays on for about a minute, and then it turns back off again. It's been running this way for about 4 days now without having any problems. He wakes up, does some UDP broadcasts, goes back to sleep again. So there's not really any showstoppers. We're making a lot of really good progress here, and I've actually had a lot of fun doing this 3D printing and making this contraption here. So that's the update for today, March 15th, 2016. Thanks for watching.